In the heart of a secluded woodland mansion, an illusioner was born. And he was born to the most luxurious conditions known to the illagers. And so he reveled in the bliss of a childhood surrounded by opulence and joy. His every whim was attended to, and life unfolded like a tale of royalty for him. All was good in his life, and nothing could have been done to make it better. And yet, on one fateful morning, the idyllic scene was shattered, as, in an instant, the mansion transformed into an inferno, as somehow a fire had been started, and it was devouring everything. The evokers, the vindicators, and even the subscribe button fell victim. Amidst the chaos, the illusioner found himself surrounded by the agonizing cries of those he knew and loved. However, as despair hung heavy within the smoke-filled air, a mysterious figure, cloaked in darkness, emerged from the shadows. A sinister aura enveloped his being, and yet, with a chilling calmness, he offered salvation to the young illusioner. The young illusioner, engulfed by fear and desperation, nodded in agreement. And so, with a mere gesture, the cloaked figure led the illusioner away from that burning mansion, the flames casting grotesque shadows upon the walls. And yet, as they walked on, the figure's presence became increasingly ominous, shrouded in mystery and darkness. Each step resonated with the haunting demise of those left behind. He could save them too, but he was intentionally leaving them to just die at the hands of that fire. The young illusioner, compelled by a mixture of terror and curiosity, questioned the figure about the massacre that was unfolding behind them. But the cloaked being's response was as mysterious as the shadows that he was surrounded by, as he just gave reassurances that all was well, with a distant promise of safety for the future. With each passing moment, the illusioner's once luxurious life became a distant memory, as he was led further and further away from the remnants of his childhood, swallowed by the unknown. In the ensuing days, the illusioner found himself descending into the mysterious depths beneath the surface, and there, guided by the cloaked figure, their journey led them to a chamber forged from gleaming copper and a strange, cold stone. The air seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, and the figure's silence spoke volumes, as he revealed the peculiar sustenance found in the glowing berries that covered the chamber. Now, the illusioner was left to grasp with the peculiarities of this underground world, quickly having to learn not just how to eat and harvest these radiant berries, but also unraveling the strange origins of their existence within this chamber, and learning why this chamber even existed. But still, the tour progressed as the illusioner marveled at the wonders before him. The chamber, filled with an abundance of copper, emanated an odd duality. Ancient, yet futuristic. It was a paradox that left him awestruck. The allure of the metallic expanse was both captivating and unsettling, an inexplicable fusion of time and technology. However, just as the illusioner thought the tour had reached its conclusion, an eerie transformation overcame the black, cloaked figure. His eyes, once shrouded in darkness, now glowed with an unsettling radiance before he vanished into thin air. He was never seen again. Bewilderment gripped the illusioner as he found himself all alone in this cavernous expanse. And so, in the wake of the cloaked figure's disappearance, an unsettling silence enveloped the copper chamber. The illusioner's quest to uncover the truth led him to a solitary search through the gleaming depths. The once majestic surroundings now echoed with unanswered questions. Why had he been left alone in this captivating, yet perplexing underground realm? And where had that mysterious being vanished to? The illusioner's journey had just begun, and the shadows of uncertainty loomed larger with each passing moment. But right now, his most pressing issue was not that he was alone in this expanse, but rather the fact that he was forced to face the daunting challenge of survival as an inexperienced child. And so, armed with nothing but his wits and the knowledge given to him by that cloaked figure, he delved into the task of harvesting the glowberries from the surrounding caverns, his arms shaking as he did so, as he didn't have the time nor the resources to fail this. His life depended on it. And so, rather quickly, dazed, blood into nights, as he tirelessly worked at collecting the radiant orbs, sustaining himself in a perpetual cycle of foraging, planting, and then a brief rest in the coloured beds that dotted the mysterious chamber. The concept of time was beyond him now, and the illusioner's world became a symphony of glowing hues and the echoing silence within that chamber. And yet, a lingering fear held him back from exploring a couple of peculiar rooms within that chamber. The ones that the cloaked figure had made seem so ominous by describing these evil trial spawners within them. However, after months of hesitation, the illusioner finally mustered the courage to enter one. As the door creaked open, an eerie sound filled the air, and then, suddenly, a horde of strays emerged, accompanied by the menacing presence of the breeze. The illusioner, caught off guard, faced a perilous onslaught. Summoning his innate powers, the illusioner unleashed a torrent of illusions and attacks, weaving them into a mesmerizing dance that confused the approaching foes. Now, none of these attacks were effective, as after all, he had no practice in fighting, but what truly helped him was his miniature stature, as he was almost impossible to hit. And so, despite all the difficulties, he fought with resilience and determination, born of a survival instinct. The battle unfolded in a chaotic symphony of clashes and near misses. The strays were closing in, but as the young illusioner stood on the brink of defeat, a surge of newfound power and strength coursed within him. He had to do this, and so, with a burst of energy, he harnessed his powers to the fullest, vanquishing the onslaught of foes with a dazzling display of illusions and quick bow draws. The cavern felt silent. The young illusioner was now standing amidst the remnants of his hard-fought victory as he found himself gasping for breath. But just as he began to catch his breath, an unexpected clash echoed through the chamber as, from the spawners, a cascade of berries and regeneration potions ascended. Now, initially, the young illusioner was hesitant, as he had no idea if this was a trap or not. But rather quickly, he gave in to the allure of these mysterious items, and thankfully, they were just rewards, and there was no trap. And so, these rations helped replenish his strength and heal him from the aftermath of that battle. And so, amazed by his victory, and filled with newfound hope for his survival, he retreated to his vibrant sanctuary. The warm bed welcomed him as he collapsed onto its soft surface, the trials of the day weighing heavy on his small frame. As the illusioner closed his eyes, the coloured bed embraced him in a web of safety, offering a respite from the challenges that lurked within the shadowed depths of this chamber. The echoes of battle faded into silence as the illusioner drifted into a well-deserved slumber. And so, over the passing years, the illusioner became an intrepid explorer of those enigmatic chambers. His fascination with the subterranean world fueled a relentless quest for knowledge and mastery. Every nook and cranny became a canvas for his training, and the spawners scattered throughout the expanse became the grounds in which where his skills were forged. Day after day, he honed his combat prowess, engaging in a myriad of training regimens, with the magnitude of spawner rooms at his disposal. The illusioner transformed into a master of combat, an unparalleled force amongst villagers. The rhythmic routine of training, harvesting, eating, and then sleeping became the sole reality of his existence. And as the decades unfolded, the illusionist's dedication led to some great results, as no mob, no creature of the shadows could even lay a finger on him now, as he was just that competent at fighting. His combat skills were unparalleled, a testament to the countless hours spent perfecting his craft. The echoes of his footsteps reverberated through the caverns, a symphony of mastery that resonated with the very essence of his being. Now, eventually, he grew into adulthood as his once miniature frame expanded and became a clear reflection of the strength and power that lay within him. Self-taught in the dark arts, his magical prowess was also formidable, though not without the scars of trial and error. As after all, many mistakes were made, and many lessons were learned from them. And so, from the experience of his own endeavours, he emerged not just good, but exceptional at spellcasting. The illusioner stood as a towering figure, an embodiment of raw strength and untapped potential. His power, carefully cultivated through years of unwavering commitment, radiated from him like an aura. And in the dimly lit chambers, where he had once been nothing more than a lost child, he now reigned as a master and fierce warrior. But in the eons of his training, the illusioner stumbled upon a secret revelation that would forever alter the trajectory of his existence. And it all began with the spoils of his countless victories, rewards bestowed upon him by the spawners scattered throughout the chamber, as he had obtained thousands of trail keys. And after some more careful examination, he learned that each one contained a dormant essence within. It held the very souls of defeated foes. Intrigued by the power concealed within these artifacts, the illusioner embarked on a journey of experimentation, as, with practiced precision, he employed his self-taught spells to unlock the imprisoned souls within the trial keys. But as he did that, a demonic glow enveloped the room, casting everything into a mesmerizing shade of blue. The released souls encircled him, an undead dance that transcended the boundaries of the physical realm. The air cracked with an otherworldly energy as the illusioner's eyes ignited in a radiant light blue intensity. His very soul, touched by the essence of the liberated spirits, underwent a profound transformation. Enlightenment surged through him, a cosmic understanding that allowed him to perceive and harness the boundless powers of their souls. As the ghostly energy merged with his being, his once vibrant suit desaturated, the colors fading away like the echoes in the vast cavern. His face, once frozen in the agelessness of illagerhood, underwent a sudden metamorphosis. The weight of this newfound knowledge etched lines of wisdom upon his face, an ageless soul now residing within a vessel that bore the marks of millennia. In this moment of enlightenment, the illusioner stood as a conduit between realms, a being attuned to the very fabric of existence and to the world of the non-existent. The room, once a canvas of vibrant hues, transformed into a sanctuary of cosmic energies. With the wisdom of countless souls now coursing through him, the illusioner's journey took an unforeseen turn. Underground chambers, once his training grounds, now echoed with the whispers of an otherworldly power. And the illusioner, reborn in the light of 1,000 souls, prepared to wield his newfound abilities against the shadows that lingered in the unknown. The illusioner, now the Soul Gatherer, stood at the start of an era of unimaginable power, as he had gained the ability to command the very souls of their beings he had vanquished. A newfound revelation awaited him, an untapped potential that would redefine the very boundaries of his existence. But unaware of the depths of his newfound abilities, the Soul Gatherer continued his exploration of the underground chambers, the echoes of 1,000 souls resonating within him. But it was just a few minutes later that during an encounter with a stray, the true extent of his powers revealed itself. As the stray fell victim to his conjured illusions, the Soul Gatherer felt the soul's essence pulsating within him like never before. In a moment of instinct, he reached out into the very core of that stray soul, and to his astonishment, he transformed into the very creature he had just defeated. The experience was surreal, a merging of identities that transcended the limitations of his illager form. The Soul Gatherer, now astray, marveled at the world through new eyes. Cold-blooded instincts coursing through him. He had just gained the power to morph into beings where he had control of their soul. And so, that left him thinking, could he do this with other creatures? And so, uncertain of the answer, he sought out the other creatures within the underground labyrinth, and rather quickly, a husk met its demise by him. And the Soul Gatherer, with an almost childlike glee, seamlessly assumed the husk's form. A breeze, another victim, succumbed to the Soul Gatherer's mastery over the souls that allowed him to transcend his illager form once more. the realization of his newfound abilities set a monumental goal before him. As the Soul Gatherer now envisioned himself collecting the souls of every creature that roamed this world so that he could transform into any being at will. But a full understanding of the creature's essence and the power to transform into them required not just encountering them, but also extinguishing their life force and consuming their soul. But right now, he was trapped there in that underground chamber, and there was almost no way that he would ever be able to leave it. However, the Soul Gatherer, driven by the thirst for knowledge and power, concocted plans to venture beyond this chamber, as there was one escape that he was aware of. Now, it was too small for him, but that was only in his current form. And luckily enough for him, there was one creature who resided in the chamber that could fit through that escape, and that creature was none other than the Bat. And so, using his grand combat skills, he hunted down one of those elusive creatures, and he harnessed its soul. Finally, he could escape. And so, transforming into the Bat, the Soul Gatherer maneuvered through the labyrinth tunnels with newfound agility and flight. Narrow gaps that had once seemed insurmountable became mere pathways for his ghostly form. And as he emerged into a vast cave, the Soul Gatherer saw a glimmer of light, a portal to the surface. And so, breaking free from the subterranean depths, he stood on the surface once more, greeted by the breathtaking beauty that he had so longed to see again. The familiar terrain, now bathed in the soft hues of daylight, captivated him. It was as though he was witnessing it for the first time. Fresh air filled his lungs, a welcome return from the suffocating confines of the underground chamber. But amid the awe-inspiring scenery, the Soul Gatherer remained fixated on his goals. He had a mission to complete, a quest to collect the souls of every creature that roamed the surface. And so, with a determined gaze, he embarked on a relentless rampage, his fierce combat skills brutally used against the unsuspecting citizens of the overworld. Now, his onslaught was relentless, as llamas, pigs, donkeys, rabbits, goats, cows, and even foxes, all of them fell victim before his might. The very fabric of his being transformed with each conquest, allowing him to shift seamlessly between forms. The surface, once a realm of untamed beauty, became the stage for the Soul Gatherer's metamorphosis. As the Soul Gatherer, now an unstoppable force, continued his relentless quest for power, and his journey rather quickly brought him to many villages, each one falling victim to its insatiable hunger for souls. Villagers, iron golems, cats, and sheep of every colour met their demise at his hands, as he needed their souls. The Soul Gatherer, a harbinger of doom and destruction, spared no expense, consuming the souls of each unique entity into his growing collection. And as he ventured further into the night, the darkness became his ally. Every hostile creature that roamed the world fell prey to his relentless assault, and there was nothing that they could do, as he hid in the shadows, attacking when they least expected. From the mindless undead, to the elusive endermen, to the explosive creepers, to even the floating phantoms, no one could escape the Soul Gatherer's grasp. His relentless pursuit of power continued without any hesitation. But eventually, the Soul Gatherer arrived at a mansion. It was a haunting reminder of his past. His supposed home stood as a reminder of the immense betrayal he felt. No one had come back for him after he was taken. They had all just accepted that he was gone, and they didn't even try to save him. That frustrated him, and while he had become a much better being because of that abandonment, he could have been so much happier if they had just come back for him and had saved him. But that didn't matter now, as resentment fueled his heart as he effortlessly infiltrated the Illager stronghold, his combat prowess rendering them helpless against his onslaught. The mansion echoed with the cries of the fallen Illagers as their souls were added to the growing collection. And then, after massacring the mansion, he stood atop the highest floor on the mansion, where he then surveyed the horizon. The vast ocean stretching before him seemed lifeless. Yet, in the distance, he spotted something. It was a squid. It was an unexpected presence in the seemingly deadly waters. And so, intrigued, he leapt from the mansion and dove into the ocean, discovering an ability to swim that manifested in mere seconds. The revelation that life teemed beneath the ocean's surface captivated the Soul Gatherer, as he had always believed that the oceans were far too violent for life to thrive. And so, disregarding the supposed dangers, he embarked on a merciless spree, hunting down and absorbing the souls of every single oceanic inhabitant. Cod, salmon, tropical fish, pufferfish, guardians, elder guardians, glowing squids, and regular squid, all of them succumbed to the relentless advance of the Soul Gatherer. The ocean became yet another stage for the Soul Gatherer's conquest, as his relentless pursuit of souls knew no bounds. And with each conquered entity, his power and mastery over the tapestry of life expanded. The world, now forever altered by his presence, quivered under the weight of his insatiable hunger for souls. But the Soul Gatherer, a relentless force of nature, forged on, determined to absorb every essence that the world had to offer. The Soul Gatherer, now an entity of uncontrollable power, stumbled upon a ruined portal, an ancient gateway to realms untold. Calling upon his dark, magical prowess, he harnessed the very essence of the dead souls he had collected, igniting the dormant portal with an eerie glow. As the otherworldly energies enveloped him, he stepped through. Within the fiery landscapes of the Nether, the Soul Gatherer unleashed his fury upon its inhabitants. Piglins, zombified piglins, hoglins, striders, wither skeletons, the subscribe button, and blazes. All of them met their demise at the hands of this relentless Illager. And in a feat that defied wisdom, he even summoned a wither, a creature of pure destruction. And amazingly, in mere minutes, he emerged victorious, consuming his soul. And so, having left a trail of carnage in the nether, the Soul Gatherer returned to the overworld, his power amplified by the souls he had just harvested. But his insatiable desire for mastery of the souls then drove him to call upon the spirits of the Enderman, as he was well aware that they were not of this world, nor were they from the nether. They came from a land far, far away, and he was going to make sure that he had the souls of all creatures from that land. And so, through an unholy spell, the Enderman was forced to beckon forth the citizens of the End, Shulkers, Endermites, and the mighty Ender Dragon itself. The Soul Gatherer, undeterred by the supernatural beings that emerged, systematically consumed the souls of each entity, one by one. Now, the Shulker fell easily, his defenses no match for the Soul Gatherer's prowess. The Endermite, a mere nuisance, was also dispatched effortlessly. But the dragon, a formidable foe, well, it tested the limits of the Soul Gatherer's strength. But with a surge of dark power, he emerged triumphant once more. His conquest had spanned all known realms. His relentless pursuit of souls left almost no being unscathed. However, despite all of his efforts, 3 elusive entities remained beyond his grasp: the brown panda, the skeleton horse, and the mysterious figure known as Steve. But the Soul Gatherer, harboring a sinister plan to complete his dark collection, hatched a daring idea to manipulate the Steve into actually helping him achieve his goal of collecting all possible souls, as he had learnt 2 very important things about the Steve. One is where he lived, and the other being that he would do anything to help the world. And so, transforming into a village leader, the Soul Gatherer set out for Steve's house, donning the guise of a humble villager with a purpose. Upon reaching Steve's abode, the Soul Gatherer wove a web of deceit, spinning a tale of impending doom. He spoke of a dire virus affecting the pandas, a virus so devastating that it threatened to engulf the world. With a feigned urgency, the Soul Gatherer explained that the only way to save the world from this virus was for the Steve to embark on a merciless mission to eradicate every panda that he encountered, as the cure, he claimed, lay in bringing back one baby brown panda. He could be the only one to survive this massacre, as with his fur and the body of a skeletal horse, of which the Steve would also have to collect, the virus could be eradicated and the world could be saved. Now, the Soul Gatherer sounded so desperate in his plea for help that Steve didn't even question the validity of his statement. He just saw a mission to save the world and set off bravely to complete it. Evil laughter echoed within the Soul Gatherer as he revelled in the success of his deception. There was no pandemic, no looming threat to the world. The Soul Gatherer had fabricated a crisis, and the Steve, unsuspecting and compassionate, set to work with an unwavering determination. The Soul Gatherer found entertainment in the chaos that soon ensued, and the Steve, blinded by the urgency of the fabricated threat, became a merciless force of destruction within the jungle. Pandas fell before him, victims of a false narrative that twisted benevolence into malevolence. The world crumbled under the weight of Steve's blind obedience. A once vibrant landscape, now darkened by suffering and death. The Soul Gatherer's plan unfolded with malevolent precision. Steve's unquestioning loyalty to the supposed village leader had plunged the world into darkness, and it was only going to get worse. The fake cure, a baby brown panda, remained elusive, and Steve's relentless pursuit to a non-existent solution fueled the Soul Gatherer's amusement. Now, he knew that Steve was out there doing a lot of the work for him. However, he decided that just in case the Steve wasn't as competent as he believed, he should also be out there in the world searching for the souls he desired. And so, during Steve's brutal panda purge, the Soul Gatherer slipped away into the vast expanses of the world. His demonic form passed through swamps, his eyes scanning the horizon for the telltale signs of a brewing storm. And rather quickly, he found it. Thunder echoing through the skies. He followed the sounds, and after a few minutes, he found it. Amidst the rain and lightning were the 4 skeletal horsemen. Now initially, the Soul Gatherer was planning to just make the Steve collect these mobs for him, but he had the opportunity to consume some new souls, and so, without hesitation, the Soul Gatherer confronted the horsemen, his dark powers overpowering their skeletal forms in just mere seconds as he devoured their souls. As the dust settled, only 2 more souls remained. The world trembled under the malevolent aura of the Soul Gatherer, a harbinger of doom on a quest to complete his collection. And so, venturing forth into the wilderness, the Soul Gatherer soon found himself in a dense jungle. He surveyed the land, and it just so happened to be that within that first jungle, he found it. His predatory gaze fell on a lone, brown panda, a creature oblivious to the fate that awaited it. In an instant, the Soul Gatherer struck, ending the life of the unsuspecting panda and claiming his soul. And so, only one remained, the soul of the Steve. And so, returning to Steve's house, the Soul Gatherer prepared himself for an ambush. But as he did that, he could hear something. It was coming from the basement. And so, curious, he investigated, only to discover a brown panda confined in a cage. Wait, the Steve had succeeded? He couldn't believe it. But he didn't need this brown panda anymore. And so, it was at that moment that an insidious plan unfolded in the dark recesses of his mind. Perhaps, just like this panda, he didn't need the soul of the Steve. Instead, he could just manipulate him into causing more chaos and suffering within the world. Yes, that sounded like an entertaining idea, and so, transforming into an endermite to conceal his true identity, he ran up to that panda and dropped an ender pearl before him, which would hopefully result in the panda freeing itself. And so, as the freed panda ran away, the Soul Gatherer assumed the guise of the villager leader once more. And then, he stood there, waiting by the front door for the Steve. Now, days later, Steve returned, and it was at that moment that the acting begun, as he started feigning concern for the world's salvation. Now, the Steve had done as he had been told, and so, with his head held high, he led the villager down to his basement, ready to show that the world was going to be saved, because he had bravely done as he was instructed. However, as Steve entered the basement, he was left in a state of shock and confusion. The brown panda was gone. He just couldn't believe it. He knew he had caught one, and the cage wasn't broken, so how did it get out? And where did it go? Exploiting Steve's confusion with another tale of escalating peril, lies about this worsening virus and the impending destruction of the world. According to that villager, there was only one way to stop this curse, and that was for the Steve to go back to the panda's domain and to slaughter them all. Now, Steve was a bit wary of this, but with the fate of the world resting upon him, he set off, ready to unleash a rampage on those innocent creatures so that the world could be saved. In Steve's eyes, this sacrifice was worth it. But in reality, it was all an illusion, and Steve's blind obedience only led to more suffering and pain within the world. For the Soul Gatherer, this was more than just manipulation. It was a spectacle of power and control, an entertaining sight to see how far he could push the Steve into evil actions for his own entertainment. But now, before we can continue this story, we must first learn of what happened to that panda once it escaped, as his path was incredibly influential, and so, to learn what he did, you'll need to watch this video.